Good morning. Grandpa sees the blinking. He sure does. So, let's see here. Well, first off, take nothing that Grandpa says as financial advice. Grandpa sees the blinking is not a financial advisor, and that sort of thing. So, anyway, talking about the blinking. The blinking. What a wonderful day here, blinking. So far today, on the shorting side, pre-market we had a little bit going on at 249.50. Then we had blinking at 262, 100 at a time. It's pretty much paused that at the moment. 263.35 was blinking pretty consistently, and but as of late it is 263.80 blinking. 264 times 1, actually it's 264 that's blinking. 264 times 1, that's 100 blinks, 100 shares per blink, and it's doing it 25 to 30 times per minute, shorting at 264 currently. Also have blinking going on at 258 at the same time, and it's pulling it straight up. She is on its way to somewhere. And on the downside, on the buy side, they bought a little bit for a brief period at 234.45 times 1. Nothing too big there, and it's paused on the buy. The buy side is virtually paused, and let's see what else. 241.50. They were buying there briefly times 1. Right around the open, and that's also paused. I see absolutely no buying currently at on the below the price point, the actual price point. But everything is shorting above the price point, and okay. So let's look at what we got going here from our past blinking, and we'll tie all that in with our current blinking as time goes along here. So I'm going to do a brief recap here as quickly as Grandpa can do it. Okay, so the actual low on August 18th was 212.36. I'm gonna check I might have got a message here, not sure. And what do you think? Oh, what's Grandpa think? That's what the message says. I think, well, here's what Grandpa and Grandma are doing, and don't take this as financial advice, but I'm holding out at bare minimum for 260 because we had massive blinking there on Friday, and and that's prevalent to us again now, and I'll explain that shortly. And I also am holding out for 262, 263, 265, 267.60, 271.50. Every one of those numbers is where the market makers have shorted and are prevalent to us. And every one of those numbers, the market makers have to go to. So if you're short, if you're going to sell your shares, you want to sell them at one of those numbers. Any of those numbers is right, and I'll explain that. Hopefully I'll remember to explain it. Okay, so the actual low on August 18th was 212.36. And the reason I'm going all the way back to August 18th is because they shorted for a half a day there at 209.80, and they shorted for several hours at 205. And the market makers at some point will bring it there to fill those orders. They bought shares there in advance. You got to understand this, traders. You got to understand this. They bought there. They have not filled those orders. They have got to go there. So will it go there? Absolutely. Okay. So 224 and 225 on the buy side, down below the price point, Wednesday, August 23rd, 24th, 25th, and 28th. They bought shares at 224 area and 225 area. Are they going to go there? Absolutely. Is the trend out down here? Absolutely. These shorts up above are short term. When you get to your spot that you pick, take your money, sell your shares, and reposition yourself at a spot where they've been buying down below. We want to buy where the market makers buy, and we want to sell where the market makers sell. And you got choices. And are any of them wrong? As long as you're buying and selling your shares where the market makers are doing it, you are just fine. An example would be someone that wants to hold out for 271.50 or higher, 275 where they were shorting. The question is, sometimes, you generally within 3 days, they fill their positions, probably 97% of the time. So your odds of getting there are pretty good, but sometimes these guys I've seen 2 months, and could they go longer than 2 months? I'm not sure. But I've seen 2 months, and you don't want to get in a position where you got to wait for them to go all the way to 205 or 200 or whatever they decide to do and come back to you either. And that's everybody's personal decision, and that's the beauty of this blinking that Grandpa sees, where the market makers are actually in real time buying and selling their shares in advance to show us where they're going. Okay, let me give you a recap. I got off there a little bit. Okay, so we talked about 224 and 225. Now, 229 in the 230 area, they were buying on Thursday 824, and also 825, and also 828. And until I went back and looked at my notes and stuff, I didn't realize how much they actually bought at the 229 to 230 area. I had a friend the other day mention that he was holding out to buy at 228, and at the time I thought that was that it was much stronger in the 224, 225 area, and I was thinking that they probably wouldn't get a bounce at that 229, 230 area, but I think looking once I finally got it on my notes in my head, I think the guy was right. I think that 228 to 230 area is probably a good place to get some shares if we get the opportunity here shortly, and we will. Okay, so then we've got buying. We had buying at 239.70 to 240, and they bought pretty strong there late in the day. Wednesday 8:30 and Friday 9:1. Take notes, please. Take notes and get it on paper, or if you can type. I can't type. I'm an old school. I'm good looking. My grandkids think I'm really good looking, but sometime you. And then I better do this here stuff. Quit gabbing. Okay, so. And they did that 239. They did that 240 buying half a day times 5. That's 500 shares of Blink. And they did 240 at the end of the day times 1,500 shares of Blink, and 30 to 40 times per minute. So at the end of the day, probably an hour or so, but are we going to see, is this bus going to run to 240? You know it. Are we going to turn the next time we get there like we did this time? I don't know. I kind of leaning towards that other guy with the 230 area. And this Tesla can move $20 like we've seen that. Up or down. Okay, and let's see. The low on Friday was 242.01. So we've made it to 242.01, and anything 245 or above at this point in time was important to us, but we've blown, I think, up through that right now already. So that negated that number. Let me get one of these other computers running so I can at least be in the same world as everybody else. I'm not these gals, they can multitask and they have talent. Grandpa, other than being good looking, don't really have any talents. Yeah, we're up at 249.80 area, and let's see, what have we bounced off of here so far? I can't even see. You're dealing with a blind grandpa, but I see the blinking. Don't worry about that. Blinking everywhere. I got to finish my update. So anyway, we're blinking around the right below the 250 area. Okay, so so that pretty well. Now, another thing I wanted to point out. The buying on the bottom side is the oldest at this point, other than the 240 area. Everything down below the 242, any of that blinking or buying is the oldest. So if we get a day or so up here, or today even, or who knows, I just don't know, because like I say, they can leave stuff late for 2 months, but absolutely the buying side on the down at the bottom, that 209, 205, 224 is getting old, 225. I gave you the dates. The dates are important, somewhat, because you'd think that they're eventually going to get there if they. The longest out I've seen so far is 2 months for them to get to a place. So, for already a month out, we should see that 205 in 3-4 weeks at the worst. Okay, on the short side, the high Thursday was 261.18. Okay, so we were looking above this number at that point, but that has also changed now, because now we were looking above any place that it goes up to. It wipes it out. So whatever it's at right now, in order to be prevalent, it has to the shorting has to be above it. I hope you understand that. Let's see what is the high here today so far. I'll look. Wow, this thing bounced up. I got my mouse on my pillow. I have my pillow on my lap at all times. Let's see. Approximately 252.90 is the high today. So any shorting above that is prevalent to us, but only if it's like $3 above it, because $2.70 on either side of the actual price point is pretty much a wash with what the market makers are doing. So what we're interested in is the stuff that's $3 or more from the actual price point, all the way up to as far away as 70, up to $100 away from the actual price point, and we do see that. Okay, so let me see. On 8/30/23 Wednesday, we had a ton of shorting at 262. That is a massively strong area, and I didn't realize that till I started going through my notes over the weekend. They shorted times 3, which is 300 blinks, 300 shares, not blinks, per 300 shares per blink, and they were doing that about 30 times per minute. Now, also at 262, then they went to doing 700 shares per blink, and they were doing that 25 to 30 times per minute, and they did it for quite a while. They also went on to short the market at not just 262, but 263 times 1, 265 times 1, and of course 267, 60 times 1. 271.50 times 1, 274.70 times 1, and all of these numbers are a good place to sell your shares. Some of you are going to sell at the 260 mark. Some of you may choose to sell at the 262 or the 265 or the 267.60 or the 271.50. That 262 area, I just really think that we're going to hit that sometime this week. We come so close at 261.18 and they didn't pull it to it, and the market makers have a lot of shorts at 262. I just don't see them leaving them there and taking this bus down until they clean some of them up. They have to go to that price point to fill those or they shorted shares there, and they ain't got them matched up. You got to get that in your head. All right, so where are we? What did I tell you and what didn't I tell you? 8/31/23 Thursday. 262 again. They shorted a lot. They shorted 265, 266.63. They shorted at 267, 268, 271.50, 271.93, and they shorted at 275. These are all good numbers to get out of your position. None of them are wrong, okay? Understand that. None of these positions are wrong. Grandma tends to want to hold out and get a higher price a lot of times, and she's a lot smarter than Grandpa. I tend to sell my shares a little bit on the quick side, and I don't like to sell. I like to sell all my shares at once, get out of Dodge, and reset. Is it always right to do that? Absolutely not. You guys got to make your own decision. You're keep track of where this blinking, where they're shorting and where they're buying, because they will go there. Okay, so 9/1/23 Friday. Let's see, 266.60 times 3. That's 300 blinks, 300 shares. I'm sorry, per blink, and they're doing that. They did that 20, 30 times a minute. They also shorted at 273.14 times 1. Now, and of course, on Friday, and you might find this interesting, they shorted at 251 times 6. That's 251 times 6, which is right now as we speak completely irrelevant, because I believe it's gone through it substantially already. But that would have given you a sign that, hey, they're gonna go get that. That's 600 shares of blink, and they went and got it. Okay, so 255 times 1 on Friday, 9/1/23. These are all 9/1/23s. They're all towards the end of the day on Friday, giving us a clear direction of where they are going. And they are going there. Now here's an important one for you guys. 260 shorting even times 7. And I like 7. 7 is a biblical number in Grandpa's world. 700 shares per blink, 30 to 40 times per minute. That's massive, okay? Are we going to see 260? Grandpa, well, we're going to see it, but are we going to see it today? I'm not sure, but we're going to see it. 260, and plus we had all those other 260s for. Remember I mentioned earlier 260. What date was that? Well, I hope you wrote it down in your notes. I can't. Um, where did Grandpa write it? Oh, it was 262 that was extremely prevalent. Okay, so anyway, also not just times 7, but we also had on Friday 9/1/23, we had 260 times 12. That is 1,200 shares per blink. And it's pulling it right towards it. Okay, they did that on Friday, the last few hours of the day, and it pulls it straight up. And what happened after it got down to when the market hit 242.01 and turned upward, what pulled it back was these shorts up above, pulling it towards the short, the 260, and it also blinked at 261 on 9/1/23, and I'll get that all in my stuff. So when I do my recap for tomorrow, it's I'm wrecking my video. I'm going too long. But I wanted to share this with you. So I'll be back at 4, and just know this: it's blinking. It's short. There is no buying. Well, I'm sorry. There is buying. There's buying at 240. They're buying at 241.60. And it's sporadic, to say the least. There's very little buying, 241.60 area. There's a little bit of buying going on. Nothing dramatic. Almost everything is shorting up above. Okay, and I'll monitor it all day. I'll report to you on at 4 o'clock, and we'll do a recap, and we'll go over the blinking of the day, and I'll try get it as organized as I can for you. Make a decision, but whatever you do not sell your shares at a loss. This thing is blinking nonstop at 264 right now, and she's going straight up. It's exciting. Tell your friends, like and subscribe, download me. I think it helps Grandpa. I seen it somewhere. They said download Grandpa. It helps Grandpa, and Grandpa needs a lot of help. That's the truth. I have a My Pillow on my lap, and that's what I use for my mouse pad. It keeps my knees warm. You know, you don't want Grandpa's knees getting cold, do you? Remember, hey, you guys, all good things are from the Lord. And why he lets me see the blinking or let me see it, I don't know, but he did. And okay, I'm gonna shut this thing down, I hope, and we'll see you at 4 o'clock. And God bless all.